Hey, He-Man fans from all over the world, plus the left side of Jupiter and part of the constellation Pleiades. This is Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, and I'm here today, like a gazillion other YouTube videos, to do a reaction video to Netflix Masters of the Universe Revelation. And while I'm sure, yes, there are a ton of people on YouTube making videos, why should you be watching this one? Well, I am a collector, a lifelong He-Man fan, but I'm also the former brand manager for Masters of the Universe. And that's given me a bit of a unique perspective and a unique place in kind of He-Man brand history that I'm a brand manager, I'm a collector, I'm a fan. I grew up with the brand as a kid, and I worked on it as an adult. So, with that in mind, and the fact that there are huge spoilers coming up, so if you don't want to be spoiled by Netflix's new He-Man show, stop this video now, go watch it, and then come back to this video, because, that's the order you should do things to not get spoiled. Alright, so without further ado, what are my thoughts on Masters of the Universe Revelation from Mattel Toy Productions? Well, bottom line is, I really liked it. I thought it was awesome. It had me glued from the first opening shot to the ending shot, which was a huge cliffhanger of Skeletor taking over the world. See? Spoilers. Why did I love the first shot so much? Well, because it's a piece of art that I helped commission and pay for my non-media budget. I was like, wait a minute, I remember that piece of art. I commissioned that piece of art. I was the brand manager over that. So besides the references to classics, it was, first off, just great to see Masters of the Universe back on the small screen and doing awesome Masters of the Universe stuff. We haven't really seen this since, 2001, 2002, with the 2000X Mike Young production series. I mean, yes, Netflix had a She-Ra series, but that wasn't Masters of the Universe. That was She-Ra, which, yeah, well, the lawyers fight about that one. And we saw awesome things like, Triclops forming a religion based on technology, really playing up the technology versus magic theme. We saw Teela forming, the Charlie's Angels of Masters of the Universe, or the, her little squad, and making up for the fact that Eternia needed defenders after the apparent death of He-Man in the first episode. I told you about spoilers. And we got to meet the He-Man of Legend, a concept that I kind of created for classics, really brought to life. I mean, Vicor, I named Vicor. I named Wondar. Like, seeing them on screen, mind-blowing to me personally. Hero, wow. And the Easter eggs, the fan Easter eggs, were just all over the place. And that's what really makes a show aimed at the collector, is the fact that there's all these really cool references and hidden, meanings. I'll probably do an episode just about the Easter eggs, but a few of the ones that really stood out to me was the case that holds the orb inside of Castle Grayskull in the first and last episodes, or episode 1 and 5, was the Magic Stealer from the mini-comics. At least I assume it was supposed to be the Magic Stealer. It was a triangular object. Maybe I'm totally wrong here, but that's what I saw it as. And there were some great references to the vintage toy line, such as when Marlena is greeting Teela, who is becoming the new Man-at-Arms. And again, Man-at-Arms has always been a title, not a guy's name. His name is not Duncan. Anyway, Marlena referred to Teela saying that she looked beautiful, like a warrior goddess, which was her tagline from the original toy, when she was actually supposed to represent two different characters, the warrior and the goddess. And when Skeletor kills Mossman, again, I warned you about spoilers, people, he picks up, part of the Mossman's charred remains and says, "Smells like pine," which is the scent, of course, that Mossman was scented with, both in the vintage line and in Masters of the Universe Classics. It was mixed with the plastic in liquid form. And we got to see Mark Hamill as Skeletor, and he even sort of jumped into his Joker voice for like a second. And right afterwards, he does a total Emperor Palpatine line. So having Luke Skywalker quote Emperor Palpatine just, had my nerd alarm going off. Like, yeah, this is awesome. This is cool. I mean, I can't imagine that wasn't deliberate. And I loved what they did with the whole Council of Elders concept, where they just disguised the Elders' palace as Castle Grayskull. It was like a hologram disguise. Totally brilliant. And honestly, shame on me that I never thought of that for classics. I love that idea. I could never quite figure out how to use the Elders and the Elders Temple, and the idea that it was Castle Grayskull, it was just disguised. Oh, love it. The same with the fact that they used Subternia as a Eternia version of Hell, where that's where Scareglow lives, and they used Preternia as a Masters of the Universe heaven. The idea that that's where you go, it's not the past, it's the afterlife. Again, really cool concept, and it allowed us to see things like the Eternia Towers, which was the Eternia playset, Grayskull Tower, Viper Tower, and Central Tower, which was released in '87, and we got to see things like Bionatops running around. I mean, that was so freaking cool, because I love dinosaurs, and I love Masters of the Universe, and there he was on screen, being ridden by King Grayskull. So cool. And again, characters like Vicor and Wondar showing up, and Hero, and them having speaking parts, totally just fan service, but in a good way, because they weren't thrown in there randomly for no reason. They had a very distinct role, and they were in heaven. They were in Preternia, because that's where, it's like Valhalla, where all great warriors go after they are struck down, and that was really cool. I even love the way King Grayskull was handled. And even though he was race swapped, it was never implied that he was a direct ancestor of Adam. He was just the first person to carry the sword. And they even mentioned there'll be people to carry the sword after Adam. So it's great. He was just a warrior. They had nothing to do with, Adam being a descendant of him. All right. With all of that excitement, though, there was one mistake, and this was not in the show, but in the pre-publicity. And I think that this is what led to so much confusion and kind of anger. Fans, angry at Kevin Smith, saying that, he's not a true He-Man fan, he doesn't understand the brand. And there's been a lot of this going on for months, and a lot of anger and upsetness. Is that a word, to be upset? So let me address this straight on, because when you remove this, you can really enjoy the show, and it's not that hard to remove. So in all of the pre-show publicity, in Variety, in all sorts of, magazines, etc., the show is always said to be picking up the characters' journeys where they left off from the 1982 series. In fact, if you Google the description, it literally says that Revelation is a direct sequel to the series. Okay, so it's not. It is not a sequel. Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, is a sequel. The Empire Strikes Back is a sequel. Electric Boogaloo is a sequel. Masters of the Universe Revelation is not a sequel to the Filmation series. And once you realize that, you can truly enjoy the show. And the problem is that this was stated so much. What Revelation is it's part of the Masters of the Universe multiverse. And I did a video, even just actually recently, about the MOTU multiverse and kind of how it works. It's really there to explain how there are so many different versions of He-Man over the years. I mean, the mini-comic version from '82 is so different even from the Filmation version, because they're separate He-Man universes. All right, so how do I know about this? Well, essentially, how do I know it's not a sequel? Okay, here's a great example. Roboto in Filmation came from outer space and crash-landed on Eternia. In Revelation, Roboto is Man-at-Arms' creation and almost kind of like his son, like a Pinocchio kind of thing. So Roboto has a completely different origin in Filmation and Revelations. So Revelations is just like seeing He-Man from another universe. It's like, the Council of Kangs or the Council of Reeds or the Council of Ricks. Having King Grayskull be black in this universe, this version of Masters of the Universe, is perfectly fine, because it's not the Filmation universe. I get how if you thought this was the Filmation universe and this was sort of the continuation, and now we have, Fox Force 5 led by Tila, that it's not Filmation, but it's just like Cowboy Morty. It's a different version of Morty from a different universe, and that's what probably should have been stressed. Red Sun Superman, great story. Does that take away from the regular Superman? No, you just accept it. I get that as fans, we fear change, and we don't want things to change, and Filmation is Filmation, and it really is the standard in a lot of ways for telling a Masters of the Universe story. So calling this a sequel to Filmation is what threw everything off. So not only is it clearly legally not a sequel, story-wise it's not either. And it's very similar to what happened in Classics, where personally I was trying to push the story forward. We did things like blow up Castle Grayskull and blow up Eternia and introduce the son of Skeletor and the son of He-Man and Teela. It was all about bringing the brand to the next level. And there was a lot of pushback from fans because fans didn't want the brand to move forward. There's a lot of keep the brand exactly as is. We don't want to see He-Man's son and Skeletor's son fighting in front of a energy version of Castle Grayskull. We just want to see He-Man battling Skeletor. So things like making Snake Man-at-Arms turned into a Snake Man permanently, which was set up by the 2000X series. There was a lot of resistance to this, so much that later bios that came out post the toys said that that never happened. Again, that's why I think of those bios even as yet another universe, because they contradict Classics. So, yeah, He-Man versus Skeletor, the core battle, and if you want that, you can watch Filmation or 2000X. It's out there for you. But what Revelations did was it told a totally new story, pushing the brand forward in a different direction, but that doesn't take away at all from the core story. It still exists. It's just another universe over. Filmation is, over here, and Revelation is several universes over. And in between that is the original mini comics and the UK comics and the German radio program or cassette program. All of these He-Man universes are totally valid, and you can be a fan of whatever you want. If you don't like what happened in Revelation, you don't have to be a fan of it. But it doesn't take away from Filmation existing or anything. And it's not He-Man walking into the sunset and finishing off Filmation, because it's not a sequel, both legally and story-wise, Roboto being a great example, and I could come up with 100 examples. It's no different than the movie. The 87 movie was clearly not a sequel to Filmation. It was its own He-Man adventure in live action. So we can enjoy all of this new He-Man content as long as we do so realizing that every new He-Man content is just another version. And we're kind of used to that in pop culture now, with the idea that characters have lots of versions of themselves in the greater multiverse. It's a great time to be a He-Man fan. Well, I hope this video shed some light on how Revelations fits in within the brand and what you can enjoy about it, and you've got free will to like or not like it. I liked it, and I hope you like this video. Please do share it with others, and check back on Spector Creative for more to come. Thanks for watching.